you cannot put on the table the shame, the pointing who is going to take the responsibility. You have to take responsibility all the time, but you need to say, you know what, even if we don't want to do this, we need to close this office.
Hey, I am Sam, your host, and this is Startup Fuck Ups. Thank you for being here, and thank you for accepting recording this conversation. And one of the first things that I want to say is I truly admire the people who have the courage to come here and speak about their failures, because not many people feel as if that is something that they can speak about freely. And exactly this is why I'm seeking to create this space.
No, it's a nice initiative. Thank you for inviting me. I'm more than happy to share all the failures or some of them.
The ones that you feel you will like to share to our audience. So we've known together for quite some time. We have worked together some little projects, but I know what do you do and I know who you are, but our audience would love to know what is your background and your expertise. So why don't we start with that?
Yes, I'm from Venezuela. I'm a system engineer. I then in Buenos Aires I complete a postgrad in logistics. I have been working for the last probably 26 years this year, 26 in the SAP arena. I started like as a consultant, then project manager, consulting manager, and the last 16 years I have been with my own entrepreneurship. I'm business owner. I started the company and then we started growing, opening offices in different countries. And right now we became a company with presence in 6 countries and 250 consultants. So it has been quite a challenge all these years.
Yeah, amazing. No, I guess that has been an amazing ride for you and to experience all that in the past 16 years. I believe it's like more of your professional careers that you have developed to this company. Is that right?
Yes, it's probably I graduated in 1990, so half of my life I have been doing this of
Nice.
my professional life.
Yeah, of course, amazing. Well, so one question that I always ask my guests on the show is where are you from and what does culturally speaking mean entrepreneurship for the people in Venezuela that you told me you are from?
It is for me. It's like a challenge, especially when you become an entrepreneur in other countries, because we are more like cross industries. When you are starting a country with a market so small, you cannot be so specialized that you don't have more customers. So usually you are like open to take whatever it came. Any customer, you are open to do that and learn. So you become really adaptive to any challenge. But when you move, for example, to large markets like Mexico, Brazil, in this case, US, I have been here for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
Whatever you have read is true. You need to be specialized in a niche. You need to transmit a very clear message for those customers that you can explain that you have the experience for that specific industry sector. So being entrepreneur is very different in Latin America than in US, and that has been my major insights during the last 10 years.
That is really interesting. Yeah, and definitely the cultural differences from different countries propose different challenges. So uh, last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a guy that I know from China, and he was explaining to me that his current job is to help the company that is currently working with to understand the business culture in China. So
Okay.
it's really fascinating because he speaks about the perspective in Asian countries, for example, with the technology tools and some other things, like in their whole lives. It's like a one solution for everything. So he explained that, for example, we in the Western world, we have Instagram for photos, we have Facebook for social interactions, and there's LinkedIn for jobs, and Amazon for a marketplace. But then in China, they only have one app. They have WeChat, and through WeChat, they do marketplace, they do software, they do social interactions, they do imaging, they do content creation and content generation. So that perspective, when you are entering into a new market, it's really really valuable.
Yes. And another thing is that I I can see that in US they are more open to change their budgets, their timeline. They are really open. In Latin America, I think it's more cultural. You don't want to share your budget because you believe the vendor is going to take advantage and say that it's gonna cost that or more. And and it's I really appreciate that. When you are talking with American companies, they are very clear, very straightforward. So they're saying, I'm not buying now, I have this in my budget, I'm going to buy and decide in this month. And that's the way it is. And nevertheless, I feel very happy that I had the opportunity to work with people that they were early adopters in Latin America. So even if we were there, we had the opportunity to innovate because we were talking with the leading companies. So we had the opportunity to learn a lot and be very unique in our value proposition because the customer gave us the opportunity, but you will always find early adopters anywhere. So, or, of course, you need to transmit that you are really the guy, that you are the one that can make through this. And if, in our case, that we are in technology, everything is about reputation. So you need to deliver whatever you promise.
No, yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you, and it is amazing to share same visions and similar perspectives on the same matter, because that's where we find that people that are around you and have similar mindsets, then that means, yeah, perhaps we're onto something, right?
The last thing that I can see that we are also working in Italy. We have an office in Milan,
Hmm.
and you can see I with these partners because I used to live in Italy for 2 years and a half, and the Latin market I understand that Latin is part of Europe and or Latin America, and we are really similar, but they have a more long-term vision. It's incredible how in Europe you can plan whatever in a vision of 6, 10 years.
Okay.
Just a very simple example. When I were there renting an apartment, the
Hmm.
contract was 2 years per 2 years. And in our mindset, I said, I don't know where I'm going to be the next year.
Yeah, of course.
So that's part of the culture. No, but that was in the past. I really incorporate all that long-term vision. Mm, I really learned a lot about Italy and Spain. I was living also in Spain, implementing a software for Airtel
Hmm.
a long time ago, 1996.
Okay.
And right now, I'm happy that I cannot say that I understand how are all the difference,
Okay.
but you understand how is the buying process in Colombia. They
Okay.
are the best one. They are the best. They really know how to buy, how to lead the process, how to extract all the information. And it's good when you really are capable to look all the advantage you can get for your company.
Mhm.
But when you are not prepared and you are not aware, you suffer because for example, in Venezuela, it's really easy. If you want something, you demonstrate that you want that. You don't hide that. like a part of the negotiation. I really want it, and you get excited. In Colombia, no, they are poker face because they don't want to let you know that they are really happy. Or if they are happy to buy it, they will hide that, or they will demonstrate that to get more information during the process, but they are comparing always, and they not necessarily share that is a competition, that you have competitors. It's not a matter of be honest or not.
Mhm.
It's the way it is. And all my Colombian friends tell me no, and they're from Colombia, and they say how difficult it is. And in every singular country is different. There's always some complexity.
That is really interesting because I completely agree that there's different cultural differences for entrepreneurship and how business is made in different countries. But then I'm thinking about this place where innovation and new businesses should not be tied to a location. So how can we stop finding in the best innovations in Silicon Valley? We have seen in the recent years that has changed, but how can we empower local cities or other places to really thrive and really move forward, given these cultural differences that everyone has?
Mm, it's not an easy question because I believe that when you talk about innovation, is not about cultural. It's not important the cultural aspect. Is how are you prepared to understand that you are solving a need,
Hmm.
that you are understanding the market, hearing the voice of the customer, and probably if we have what we call in Spanish miopía del producto. I never said that in English, but I imagine that is product myopy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when you are so concentrated in whatever you need to offer, you want to offer that, and you get in love, you fall in love with your product, and you don't validate. But for me, it's not about the cultural aspect. It's more that you really need to get prepared. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you need to study, and if not, you're going to fail because you fall in love with your product and nobody wanted. So, um, that's part of our failures that I will share.
Sure, yeah. Definitely. And so yeah, so tell me a bit about that about the project itself. I mean, the company that you started 16 years ago. What do you what do you do, and what is your line of business?
Okay. The first thing is that I was part of SAP as an employee,
Okay.
and there were a wave coming, like a tsunami, with all the new products that there were called at the moment business warehouses,
Okay.
data warehouses. There were not data visualization or anything like that in this moment, but there were data warehouses. We started to talk about customer portals, employee self-service portals. We start talking about middlewares. And that was innovation because all the companies were running business with ERPs, but then tons, 100 of development to present information, to connect interfaces, and middlewares. They were supposed to put order in the way that you integrate your solutions with any other customer or with your different systems, or the data warehouses to collect all the data and be able to provide data to the information to the managers.
Hmm.
And the companies didn't have the technologies, and I started talking with my ecosystem, and nobody was investing to train consultants. And I can see the opportunity. I'm talking with all the partners and saying, look, this I'm selling this. You need to get prepared because we will need you to implement this because SAP is a small team. And there, we were talking about the largest companies in the country, and you need 50, 100 consultants. So when I see that there were not a positive reaction, I said, this is an opportunity. I will create my company. I will train my consultants, and I will do it in my way because I already uh, had the opportunity to work in different countries. So I will create something that has an international vision, because just from the beginning I said I don't want to be just in Venezuela. I want to be in different countries. I believe that I have the opportunity and I want to share that experience with my consultants. I want more people to have the opportunity to travel thanks to these technologies and this way of life. So that was the vision.
Mhm.
And with my partner, we talk about this company. And the first thing we did, and it's about like best practices.
Okay.
We look for a business consultant and we spend 2 days to define just values, mission, and vision. 2 days.
Okay.
So that was amazing because we were not talking about business plan, numbers, products. We say, what are the core values we want in our company, in our people? And we define, for example, passion, because without passion, there is no way that the people will execute all the things that we need. Compromise, transparency, commitment. So that are our core values in Celeritech. And every time that we hire someone, we we make sure that they understand that they are going to be part of a company, that this is the way we work.
Were you worried that you were doing the right thing, like the best practices, or did you do it on purely intuition?
No, no, no. I like to study, read, and I participate in some trainings of strategic planification. At the moment was the boom.
Okay.
So everything was about that. I say if I'm going to create a company, it has to be on the right foundations. So after that, we decide to define the knowledge that we want to share, in what areas, how we can differentiate ourselves. And we start saying, okay, I know that this is the new things, and there is no one that can say that they know more than us. So we're new, but we are, all of us will be the starting line. So that was part of the strategic vision, not not get uncomfortable because we don't have the experience. So we catch up and we were like the new kid in the block, but we were in the really innovation process. So we start with our value proposition, very clear, and we also understand, sorry, at the moment that, for example, you cannot use the same methodology to implement a process that for a data warehouse or for a portal. So we read about that and we identify that to implement a portal is everything about how you present information and is people centered. What I need in my screen to take decisions. And when you are talking about data, it's all about how the data become information, and it's not a process, it's data centric. So we decide to adopt all these methodologies that nobody understand, and we were competing with companies implementing CRMs,
Okay.
and it's so difficult because customers usually they don't have sales strategy with a clear definition for the different segments, for the different channels, for the different processes. So if you have been doing purchasing all your life, even with Excel by hand, you know what you need to do: quantity, description of the product, payment conditions. But when you want to provide a better service, that is CRM services, maybe you don't know what is the standard, the service level agreement, how you want to connect, how you want to provide the answers. So you are implementing that and you are discovering with the customer that they want more, more, more. But it's really easy to lose money when you are a consultant because there is not a clear scope, and they expect that you are expert in the software, but we are not expert in your business. So if you don't have that, we cannot implement in time, with quality, in budget. So we lost a lot of money. So that in CRM, because we believe that was transactional like an ERP. And
Okay.
after 2 projects, we identified that we will never implement a good CRM if they don't have a clear vision of what they want to do. And it's not all you can eat. It's not sales, services, and marketing because it's inside of the CRM. when you are in our uh, industry sector,
Yeah.
consultancy, you need to define clear boundaries. Where is the limit of your work? Because if not, it's really easy that there is a mess and it seems that you are not providing a good service. I can see that you know about, you, probably you have had any experience. So you can tell, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have had a lot of experiences with that type of clients, and it's sometimes it's not that you did not define the right scope or you did not define the right deliverables, but it's that you did not communicate thoroughly and you did not make sure that the client completely and 100% understood what you had in your mind. And
Mhm,
many times the clients have different expectations, and
mhm,
even if you fill everything that you have in your scope and in your documents and where you're going to deliver, but that does not align with their expectations and their
mhm,
expectations are completely changing, then they're not going to be happy about what they're hiring to you. So
mhm.
definitely faced that several times in my life, in my professional life.
Yes, and that's a that's something that we unfortunately we don't have any formal education in our careers, and the contractual part you need to define and write down clear things and make sign every single phrase that define the difference because you can assume that is the meaning is other meaning and no you need to read it and sign so uh, I don't know if I were talking with you but we start adding in our proposals like in the auto rental the car rentals we are asking for the initials in everything that is really important. For example, if you we are going to go live with a system we need the data. We don't own the data. We don't understand the data of our customers. They need to do data cleansing. Sometimes we do the upload of the data two, three, four times, and maybe you need to move the go live. You need to maintain the same team for another month. That's a cost. And the customer, if they don't understand, but you didn't make them sign and understand what it means, you cannot charge for your delay or for your overcost. So in the past, we didn't have that in our proposal. So there are a lot of small things that make you lose a lot of money.
This morning I was speaking with another consultant, and I was complaining because he we met through LinkedIn, and he has more than 30 years of experience training sales consultants. So we had this call because I told him that I was angry because many of the books and many of the trainings that I have found on how to start a new business or how to become a consultant or how to deliver any services are missing a huge chunk, and it's how to deal with nightmare clients. And I
Mm.
have yet not found a chunk of knowledge that could help me on this. Perhaps it's something that you need to learn while where you're doing it and it's experience. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
That's another part that is, I believe the universities are not preparing professional for the real life.
Hmm.
Most of the problems are not related to what you are doing from the technical from point of view. What is related to your profession is not what generates misunderstanding. It's everything about communication, about and communication in all the sense. It's in the way, it's the content, it's the formal communication, and it's getting feedback. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are a lot of techniques and that I have learned. I really decide to prepare myself. So I decided to incorporate MPL, is in English,
Yeah,
MPL,
yeah, yeah,
uh, negotiation, assertive communication, because usually when you are dealing with someone that you need to get to the same clear understanding, you need to ask for the feedback. And if you don't validate, you assume that he understands, because most of the people say, I said, it's not what you say, it's what the other person understand and what did you write down.
And yeah, so you were telling me about you found this opportunity because no one is training consultants, and then you find some opportunities in CRM and then some opportunities in the ERP. So you start working on different industries and different verticals. And
Mhm.
how things evolve in the years up until the moment of your first failures, which will, if you want to start talking about them, that's great. But I would like to focus on
Mhm.
the evolution of the business right now.
Okay. So when we decide to open our business here in US,
Mm-hmm.
we we decide to apply what we understand from all our life, that you need to be very vertical. So it's amazing that we try it and we say, let's focus on this.
Okay.
And then we discovered how difficult it is in US. Because if, for example, you decide to go into food and beverage,
Mm-hmm.
sounds like very, very limited scope of market.
Yeah.
But then you have, like in any other country, but here is more difficult. You have food and beverage importers, exporters, manufacturer, distributor, cold chain, or whatever it is delivering products just to restaurants or just to hotels or just for the Caribbean. So, and every niche is different. And you can find
Interesting.
in US niche solutions, software as a service for whatever you want. A olive manufacturer for oil, and there is an industry solution for that. And they have maybe 30 customers, and when you go Google, you will find someone that is really adapted to your specific needs. So you don't want someone to become to learn with you because that means cost. Probably they will fail. So it's so difficult to become and demonstrate that you have the experience because every time that you visit a new customer, and especially when you're an entrepreneur, you want to invent something,
Mm-hmm.
you want to differentiate. So every time that we visit a new customer, there is something that is so different. And what we have learned is that you need to invest on that because if that really is something unique, you need to develop because no one have developed that in the past. So, and you need to explain that because is that the value of your business? You need to put money in that. And so it has been a, a beautiful journey, I can say. The last 9 years in US,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to say to all the different possible cultures that are located in Miami, because one day we were with Argentinian people, where they were selling to Colombian people, with Venezuelan people. So I thank God that I had the opportunity to work in different countries because even if I will connect with something new, but I more or less can understand how is the process. And then once you have the contract, the employees are for everywhere. So you have one American, one from Latin America. They want the documentation in English, but the explanation in Spanish. So it's funny. It's nice. And with COVID, we decide that this disruption
Mm-hmm.
accelerate the need to condensate, to
Okay.
be more concrete, and also sailing another way. We were too much consulting, old fashioned,
Okay.
the way that let me understand your business, prepare a proposal, custom made, tailor made.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. It's too much expensive. There is a risk that we need to take, but uh, we finally have a proposal that is in, you don't have to invest in a big project. You have to provide. It's like extrapolate a way to innovate is taking best practices from other business. So, for example, when you are going to buy a car, they are saying take the car and start paying in 3 months. After COVID, take the car and start paying after 3 months. In our work, we say, no way, I'm going to invest all my time as a consultant, but why not? Why not?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we are doing. That's one example. We are reducing the entry level, the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking out the barrier so you can start using, you can start paying monthly, not just the license, the hosting, also our projects. So the change of mindset has been difficult for us, especially for the cash flow, of course. And that's part of our learning curve, all the change with the software as a service. We the world changed. We used to sell big projects with big down payments, big licenses, contracts, a lot of profit at the beginning of the project. And when you start selling cloud solutions,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you pay in one time now is what you pay in 36 months. So your margin is really small the first month.
Okay.
And we are also introducing this concept in our consultancy services. So we are building our floor for the recurrent revenue, and that's something that who the companies that are not seeing this change and are not preparing themselves for this, they are going to suffer a lot.
No, definitely, completely agree with you. And changing, it's always, you need to always adapt and change your business. You cannot think that if you have a successful business for 5 years, then in the 6th year or the 7th year, things are going to be the same if you don't do anything about it, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yeah, so that's amazing, the evolution that I've seen. And well, I've seen part of that evolution in our relationship. So I have seen how your company has grown from what you've done to right now what you're doing today. And I'm curious to know, what are the failures that you find have shaped your current position? Because I believe many of the failures that we have faced in our journey definitely define some of the things that we are currently doing. So why don't you tell me about that?
Yes, there are a lot of experiences. It usually are related to the emotional way that you take decisions.
Okay.
Especially when your business is going well,
Okay.
you start believing that everything is going to be okay. And you start taking decisions like anything, like you are amazing, producing business and money and success. And you start believing that, and you start taking decisions in that way. And that's the big mistake. Big mistake number one.
Okay.
We start selling to our customer, and we get this position in the market that we were the boutique company for the innovation process.
Okay.
And we start being called from customer in Colombia, in Peru, and we were rock stars
Okay.
at the moment.
Yeah.
And we say now the war is all us. We are going to dominate everything, and we are going to expand, and we are going to open offices.
Okay.
And even if we have business plan, and for example, failure number one, we decide that in Venezuela, there were a lot of customers in the industrial area of Maracay, Valencia, La Victoria.
Okay.
And we were traveling, so we decided to open a new office in La Victoria, in Maracay.
Okay.
So a beautiful building, the most modern building with view to the lake. I feel that I was in Miami, in Maracay, because it was and we start hiring all the people from the area, also offering quality life for them because they don't need to move to Caracas. They can save money. They don't need to rent an apartment, and we don't need to raise the salaries because they will be living close to their homes. So there were a vision, and we start working very nice. But then you need to manage that. You need to manage the office. And failure number one, convert your best technician in a manager.
Okay.
So
Tell
it's
me
a
more.
problem because if you don't provide the tools, what he was doing really good for the customer, he stopped doing that because now he needs to take care of their team. you need to take care of the finance, the payment of the rent. So you lost your best technician and gained the worst manager possible in just 1 minute.
That wow. Okay, yeah, definitely, definitely.
So that's one. The second one, try
Mhm,
to open an office in another country
mhm.
with remote control
Okay,
because you are so good that you go sell projects without living there. So now you can have an office without living there.
okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah, of course.
No, that doesn't make sense. um, so at the end, you are going to, for the first customer, you won because you know something very specific. But after that, you need to won the second, third customer. You need to maintain the cash flow, and you start going in this way, and you start suffering in the cash flow. You need to inject money in another office, and then you realize that you were the first one because the most early adopter customer decide to work with you. But the rest, they are not early adopter, they are going to wait. So now you probably need to sell whatever, competing with the experts in whatever,
Yeah,
because there is not more market.
of course.
So failure number two, that was a big one. Failure number three, don't use the right um, external consultants, for example, for accounting and taxes.
Okay.
We were working in Colombia, and our partner in Colombia, the manager, called with this amazing news. I
Mhm.
just sold this project, and they are going to pay everything in advance. They want the invoice.
Okay, okay.
Wow, yes, of course, go. So nobody validate that we need to present the results in the way that you don't pay taxes. So
Yeah,
we pay taxes because we didn't have any cost
okay.
for all that revenue. So your major partner, the government, take everything, take all our margin, and then we execute, and there were deviations, so we lost money. And the problem was that we never validate with the accountant that we had was not an expert in
Okay.
taxes, in tax planification.
Okay.
So you can, and that's the same in any country, but nobody see that at the moment. So we start losing money with that. Failure number four, if we are already expert in all the innovation,
Mhm.
let's see the most innovative company in whatever the market bring
Okay, okay.
to us. So we start doing that without any validation because it was similar. It makes sense. It's the new thing. We need to be prepared. And for example, when appears the social CRM, everything was about social media,
Yeah.
social network, selling about social networks, and everything supposed to be connected with the CRM. And there were the social CRM technologies. And we find this amazing technology, and I fall in love with this technology and say this is going to be the revolution for the way the people work.
Okay.
So be like the Facebook for your company. Have a wall with all the news, all the decisions, a shared document, another way to work collaborative. This
Okay.
is the future. And we jump into this, we get trained, we certify the people, and we start doing events. And one of the CIOs, a friend of mine in Peru, a very clever and smart guy, told me, Wilber, you know what? I'm so excited. I will put this in my budget for in 3 years, I will do this. I
Okay.
said, no, no, how in 3 years? He said, what are you thinking? That we can take money from another budget to put it in this because it's nice? No, no, no way. So I start asking to all the CIOs,
Okay.
what do you think? And they start saying, we will have this in 4 or 5 years. Because right now we need to cash up all the past. So we never validate the market.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because if we were the leaders in the innovation, why we need to validate another innovation.
Yeah.
We extrapolate, and that's not true.
Wow, interesting. That is really interesting.
So that's another big failure.
All right. And is there a number 5, 6, or 7 failures?
Yes, of course. I can share a couple more.
Sure, go ahead.
And for example, if, if we decide as in our NDA
Mm-hmm.
not to work with government
Okay.
because of the, the negotiation process is different,
Okay.
the way they work is different,
Yeah.
the way you get paid is different. So that was a strategic decision. We're not going to do this.
Okay.
And at some point,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest opportunity was the CRM
Mm-hmm.
for the taxes organism in one country. And we were the player with more experience. So the software vendor call us and say, you are the winner. And the company from this government organism call us. They say, we are able to do this project if a company like you participate. So it was like a no-brainer. It's a project, it's really big, and there were some considerations that we never made in the past. You need to put a guarantee, a collateral in
Okay.
advance.
Okay. Interesting.
So we participate in this bid, was a full transparent bid.
Okay.
No, we never in our life, we never pay commissions to anyone,
Okay.
but was very clear that we were going to have this proposal because there were not more experience. And we won. Day two, after we won, we get the visit of them to check all our finance. So
Okay.
we were close. This was like a beautiful gift.
Okay.
You won the proposal, and now you are going to receive an audit. And we passed it, but it was, well, that was not part of the plan. We put money in advance. We get paid late,
Okay.
and they didn't accept change of scopes
Okay.
because they were regulated, because blah, 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 blah. And without that, they cannot put that the software alive. So we lost money. We get paid later. It's not it's a reference, yes, but we don't want to sell more of that.
Yeah.
So what kind of reference is if you don't want that kind of customers?
Of course. That's
So you need to be I don't know if the word is loyal, but you need to be close to whatever you decide that you are. You cannot start moving to other segment without a plan.
definitely.
It's,
Definitely. No, and listening to you and understanding and listening to all of the list of failures that I'm sure that there's a longer list. As you said it early on, one of the most common things that you have identified is that the emotional decision taking that drives you towards those failures
Mhm.
that you have encountered. So, and in that same sense, and thinking about how the emotional gets involved in this, when you knew those failures and when you knew those initiatives were going to fail and you had to face the emotional hardships that come with it, who was the first person that you called, and how did that type of conversations went?
Something that I recommend
Mm.
to anyone that is going to have partners.
Okay.
It have an honest conversation every year about the plan for their life. So what are you planning to do with your life? Are you planning to move? Are you planning to work more, less, to spend more money? What are you planning? Because it will impact the way that you are driving the company.
Yeah.
So, and the same conversation, you need to have it every time that you fail. And it's really difficult when you did it or when you didn't want that and you accept it.
Okay.
So it's you cannot put on the table the shame, the pointing who is going to take the responsibility. You have to take responsibility all the time, but you need to say, you know what, even if we don't want to do this, we need to close this office,
Yeah.
and we need to talk with all our employees and say that we invest for 6 months. And that was the case. Another in Dominican Republic, we opened the office and we got in the middle of the financial crisis of 2009.
Okay.
So nobody was investing. The in specific Dominican Republic, they stopped. They stopped all the projects, and we were paying 6 months of salaries, and we need to close the office
Of course.
and say our employees that we train, that you get attached with them, you have a link, and you need to close and say it's like a big failure. Close an office is horrible, and decide that you're going to close a line of business because there is no future in that line of business, but you already train people, you put all your emotions. Are you excited? We're going to change the world, and there is no world to change. And you already travel to Las Vegas, to New York, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people that you had meetings, you put your commitment. So you need to go back and say, no, there is no plan, and you already invest. So but it's something that made you strong stronger for the future, and you start taking decisions not without emotion. You always have to understand that you are working with people.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And yeah, of course. And those things that makes us feel bad, like as you were explaining before, like even if you are the one responsible for that failure, or if you were against the decision that led to that failure, but you had to accept it because it was the partner's decision, and
Mhm.
you decided to not fight that, and it was a failure. Those feelings are really hard to swallow and really to digest, because definitely that's a failure. And growing through failure, it's, I believe, one of the most powerful things entrepreneurs can leverage on, because learning from their failures, of course, at least, and I'm repeating the words of many people who have already said this, but we can evidence this with your stories and with the other stories that from the people that I have interviewed.
But it's important to have some level of diversification,
Okay.
because it's not the same that failure your core business.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of our experience, we were doing intrapreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
or we were inventing a new line of business. We were trying to get into a new market. So most of our failure became part of our innovation process.
Okay.
But the core business, we protected
Of course.
and we evaluated. So it, I cannot imagine someone that his core business or her core business is failing. It must be more difficult, because if you have a very good plan in the core business and it is working, you can fail in the other things, and you need to take care.
And one of the things that I found many entrepreneurs also do is when they face these emotional hardships from failure, those feelings, those shame feelings, those guilt feelings, and those feelings that most of the times makes us feel really bad, they have taken really good care from themselves to really take care on that sense. What do you believe has worked for you the best to take care of your emotional health regarding these failures?
And you, for example, one of the big mistakes is people start having problems to sleep. So for sure, if you don't get rest, if you don't sleep well, you are going to start having problems all day long with the way that you answer, with your tolerance, with your mind clarity. You are not going to be clever. So you need to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. You need to continue. going out to walk. You need to uh, have a space for whatever is special for you, having your coffee, hearing music, going out with your family. You cannot stop doing that because you need to take distance because you are a person with a vision and there is a plan that failed and you are not connected. So it's not all the people are capable to take that distance. And sometimes it's like I'm so ashamed or so ashamed and I feel so bad. It's like I felt. Mm, yes, the decision I take, but I didn't fail like a person or like a professional. The project failed. And when you are really clear that whatever you do is not you, you can be more prepared to move on.
No, of course, and I completely agree with you because that thing about not feeling successful because your plans or your business failed, it's really part of things that when things and it's really easy to become involved in that feeling because you were the one that made that decision, you were the one who said let's go on that direction, and that direction led to a failure. So it's really easy
Mhm.
to feel as a failure as a person when you are so invested in your company, you're so invested in your
Mhm.
process. And yeah, of course, taking care of the mental stability, it's one of the most important things I always encourage people to do when they're facing failure, even
Mhm.
if they're not facing failure, even if they're facing success. Success also needs to have mental stability because success, if you don't handle it right the way that you said, emotional decisions can take place and lead to failures.
Mhm. And one of the advice
Mhm.
for the people that is hearing this presentation, uh, there is a lot of new ways to plan your business, and for sure you are going to talk about that in other of your presentations. The canvas, the minimum viable product, the agile. So if you start failing faster, you will have success faster. So you don't need to do the business plan that is a thesis, a big one, and spend three months planning. You can start. And there is a phrase that I learned in this program from Stanford that I love it.
Mhm.
That if you don't feel bad about your product, that when you launch it, you wait too long.
Yeah, definitely.
So
No, that's really powerful, and the importance of having other areas of your life in which you feel successful, because when then if your business fails or your business initiative fails, even if you fail fast with these new tools, those failures also take a toll on your emotional health. So having something that you feel like your family, your music, or your sports playing, or something, other areas in your life where you feel successful, that is also a really powerful tool for people to feel
mhm,
better. And
yes.
what I was thinking, what would you say to the people who might find in similar situations that you found yourself when facing those emotional decisions?
Mm, I, I will not put the religion on the table. I will not say, but you need to trust. You need to trust in the process. Is you need to learn and process whatever you are taking in that moment, like very negative emotions, and learn about that. And it's so powerful to connect with emotion. And for example, there was something that I was practicing for 1 year that is biodanza.
Okay.
So uh, in the biodanza, every day you visit this place and it's worldwide to dance one emotion.
Oh,
So
what
it's music to connect with one emotion.
interesting.
And in this process, we were dancing, for example, 1 month, the red color, and 1 month was the angry, and another was the jealousy. So sometimes people, they don't know what they are feeling. So it's really important to get prepared, to understand what is happening, because it's not the end of the world, and maybe there are different stages, and you need to understand it. you need to process, and you need to it's like the meditation process. You see that it's a thought that is coming, you cannot get attacked and go with the, you need to see it, and okay, and in this moment is sad and not sad, and but if you are sad, you cannot deny. You need to process, yes, I'm sad, this is a moment to be sad, but you cannot stay sad all day long.
Yeah, of course.
um, Especially when you put everything in context. So it's, and the NPL, there is a technique very powerful that is reframing. So
Yes.
every time that you reframe the situation, you get a big perspective. So if, okay, I'm sad with this that is going on, but I have other employees, I have other customers, I have other projects. So I cannot say this is the end.
Yeah,
You need to with a very clear mind say how I solve this part and how I sustain this part that is working.
yeah, definitely,
So
definitely.
how
That's
to
really
separate.
powerful. That's really, really powerful. And I hope everyone listening can take advantage of this, because it is really, really one of the most powerful things that we can take advantage on while facing the situation. And I'm curious about something else. Throughout this journey and throughout this 16 years and in your professional life, facing those failures and facing those decisions and seeing how things failed, what have you changed on your mind from those experiences?
I love to think that the inner circle is still the same, is
Okay.
intact.
Okay.
So the dreamer, the person that trusts, the person that believes in others,
Okay.
I have deal with real difficult situations with employees that they take advantage of the company.
Hmm.
So what I have learned is that no matter what, you need to continue believing if whatever you believe, it, it cannot change because something happened. Is like if I find someone that is taking advantage of my company, even if there are two, three, I cannot stop thinking that the people is good in their essence. If is this what you really believe? What you need to do, protect yourself with contracts. If you provide training and the people go away, sign a contract, so it's like a loan, and the people, if they want to take advantage of you that are investing, they need to pay that.
Yeah.
So there are legal ways to solve it, because yes, you need to protect yourself, but you cannot stop investing in people because they are going to go away.
Yeah.
So,
Of course.
and the same with customer. If we go, in fact, we are investing in all our purpose. For we decide to become a B Corp,
Okay.
and this is a triple impact company. So we want not just to be social responsible, we also want to see how we impact the environment
Yeah.
and that's part of our NDA. So NDA, no, DNA.
Agree.
And so we are changing just to do more of whatever we believe that bring us here, that we did it well. So you need to see the journey, see whatever it works, you need to empower that. And whatever is not working, just do the little corrections. It's what they call the smart companies. They learn how to learn. Yes, you need to do
Okay.
that.
Whoa. Yeah.
Lesson learned, meetings, and instead of seeing the failure, how we are going to do it in a better way the next time. So
No, of course, and it is so hard to see the future when, like, in your rear mirror, things on the back are looking not as pretty as it can be. But yeah, definitely staying focused on the future. And the other powerful thing that I caught up from you is that staying on your core beliefs, and even though if you face things and hardships that of course many people have and will face different things, that cannot change who you are, that cannot change your true essence on your perspective and your kind, right?
You need to continue innovating, looking for new opportunities, new markets, new way to present, but you need always to protect whatever is working.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
No, I completely agree with you. So wrapping up a bit about this, what would you say it would be like a main takeaway for our listeners on your experience?
If they want to innovate like an entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
they need to look for someone to help them to have at least the canvas, at least the big picture. What is the market, what they need, what I'm going to propose that is different, how much I'm going to invest. And then there are things that are not in any canvas, but you need to project yourself and decide, I want to be a small company with small problems. I want to be very unique. I want to be a self-employed, or I want to be big and I want to look for capital because I have a big vision. And you can change a little bit that, but you need to understand exactly where you want to stop, when you want to stop, because it's really the experience of having a company and having 15, 30 employees that you know all of them,
Mm-hmm.
that you have time to share what is going on, you have time to evaluate. But when you are 50, 100, you don't know who they are.
Okay.
And you start having problems that you don't know that you have. So it's really difficult. So do you want that in your life or not? Because it is that's the measure of success.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to be a company of 10 people, and that's right, that's perfect. You It's not more successful the company with 100 employees than one with 5.
Yeah.
So so what do you want is an answer that usually is more personal, is not, is something that you need to process, to visualize, to imagine your your future, you as a person, as a leader, and then as a company. And you need to also imagine what kind of customer do you want, because uh, if, I don't want to lose customer, but sometimes you need to say bye bye to one customer because their values, because they don't value whatever you are bringing to them, or the relation is not fair, or their emotions. Uh, I don't get paid to some. I get paid to change your business, to innovate with technology, not to deal with your own monster. So
I mean, you're not a psychologist or a therapist to help about
no, I
that.
would love it. And even if I am, you are not paying for that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, you know what? I just want to share something. I get trained and certified in familiar constellations, and
Okay,
then I train in organizational constellations,
okay.
and it's so powerful to help. And it's nothing related with my. So when you believe in the system that are moving and the energies,
Uh-huh.
I can see it. And sometimes I run away because I can see that that business is there not, but not because there are bad energies. No, because you see how the departments are interacting,
Yeah.
how is the interaction with the customer. So
Mhm.
you can see the ecosystem,
Yeah.
and you need to have that vision.
Interesting. Really interesting.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else you would like to discuss, but it has been amazing to have you here and listening to your stories and your failure.
Thank you, Samuel.
And
Really happy to be here.
no, and again, I truly admire your courage on being here and showing up and facing this conversation because, believe it or not, many people have hard times speaking about their failures because they don't see it as a part of the growth. They see it and as that's something that defines them. And that
Mhm.
is one of the things that I would love to empower people to do to uh, open up about failures and to speak more about it because I'm sure that is one big step to help them grow towards the right place.
Samuel, you are doing a great job. I hope that this will help others.
Wilber's 16-year journey on entrepreneurship faced a lot of fuck-ups, but he and his team managed to do one thing really well: protect the core business, making sure it continues to generate income. They understood that they needed to innovate, diversify, and find and explore other revenue streams. Nevertheless, the core business was treated as the main pillar, giving them the opportunity to keep the business afloat, even when the outcome from the decisions were not the ideal ones. Many companies focus on growth without a well-structured strategy, rooted in its capacities and capabilities to execute. An unfocused growth strategy can be a recipe for failure, because teams start competing with priorities and pulling in different directions, leading into unprofitable growth or even paralysis. Growth can happen through different pathways, but many of them rely on optimizing the core business and expanding its boundaries. Founders and teams often overlooked growth opportunities in its core businesses and focus on seeking adjacent or new markets, believing the grass is greener on the other side. Several companies have a lot of opportunities to exploit their core businesses, many of which are hidden in plain sight across their revenue streams and established markets. Typically, those opportunities are of low risk and lower initial investment, given the company status, resources, and capabilities. Your job as a founder is to create the right growth strategy that will let you move forward without risking the future of your business. Focusing first on what the company is currently good at and thinking there might be hidden opportunities for growth in its core business before moving into new markets or new business lines. For example, Google is really good at protecting its core business, focusing on providing email and search tools while exploiting surrounding markets that enable the growth for the business. Your growth strategy should focus in building the stepping stones from the core business that will allow you to reach new markets and unexplored opportunities. Thank you for watching. Our goal is to help founders see failure from a different perspective. If you like this episode, remember to like the video and let us know in the comments what have you learned from failure. Are you interested in learning more? You can check our Patreon for exclusive content and subscribe to our mailing list for weekly updates. You will find the links for that in the description of this video. Remember to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications when we publish new videos.